today's video, I'm going to show you guys how I use my gimbal to shoot my car videos, everything from balancing the gimbal to the accessories I use, and then we'll go shoot some POV B-roll together, and I'll tell you guys the settings that I use and some of my shot ideas to get the smoothest video possible. Now this video is sponsored by DJI, and they did send me the RS4 gimbal, but as an avid user of their products well before they started sponsoring my videos, I can highly recommend these products. Now there's a few small changes on this gimbal that make a huge difference for solo content creators. When it comes to balancing your gimbal, the first thing you need to do is make sure that you have every accessory, cable, battery, SD card already attached and inside of your camera. All these little things can make a pretty big difference when you're actually balancing this and you want it to be perfectly balanced. Now, I learned how to balance a gimbal a long time ago. If you guys have a better way, feel free to let me know in the comments. Now, I always reset this gimbal to the bottom as best you can. The left and right doesn't matter, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unlock first this kind of tilt angle, slide this camera into the base plate here, and before you go and do anything else, you wanna make sure to plug in your cables. So we've got the USB-C that connects the camera to the gimbal, which gives us a lot of cool features actually. And then from there, we're gonna balance this as best as we can, tilt-wise front to back. So I'm looking at the top of the camera and trying to get it so that it's as balanced as possible. Once you have that, you lock that in. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tilt the camera on its back and we're gonna push this forward. You're just gonna manipulate this till it can sit balanced in almost any position. One small change that they've made on the RS4 gimbal is they've put a Teflon coating on the arms of all the balancing axes. And if you've ever tried to balance a gimbal before and you have the cold metal arms, you guys know how difficult it can be to be so precise when you're balancing your gimbal. Now what you want to be able to do here is make sure that you can kind of tilt the camera forward or back, and it should be able to stay. After you've done that, we're going to unlock the side to side. As you can see, it's falling that way, so we're going to just pivot this till this sits perfectly centered as well. Now, if you move it, it should fall back to the middle is kind of the goal. Now, the last one here, you unlock that. And if you unlock this, you can push this forward or back. And if it's pivoting like that, you want to adjust this so it's almost perfectly balanced in the middle and it's not moving. Then when you turn this on, you should be able to move this and manipulate this without the motors struggling. Now, depending what camera kit you guys are coming with, you can rest assured that this one will be able to handle it. It has a payload of 6.6 pounds or 3 kilograms. So if you're using heavier cameras with maybe cinema lenses, then this gimbal is going to be the one you want to go with. Now, having the upgrade to the RS4, I'm actually noticing a ton of these small things that they've done to upgrade their RS4 gimbal that make an actually huge difference. Let me show you one of my favorite things. So when you have the RS4 gimbal, this thing is on lock. Now all you have to do is press the power button and now it is a fully working gimbal. And if you are done your workday and you want to just power it down, you just do that. It's locked down. That's so insane. Let me show you what it's like on the RS3 Mini because it's way less convenient. So here is the RS3 Mini. If I wanted to start shooting with this, you have to unlock that, then you got to find the other unlock there, and then you got to find the unlock there. And of course, if you're balanced, you're off and you're running. But the fact that you can just press a button, it unlocks itself, is an absolute game changer. It just makes it so much more efficient. If you are anything like me, a solo content creator, having a feature like that could be the difference between getting the shot and not getting the shot. Sometimes we're out shooting and we want to shoot for YouTube and I want to shoot for Instagram Reels or TikTok or whatever. So that's where the second gen native vertical shooting comes in super handy because you can just unlock it, pull it off, reattach it, and because the gimbal's motors are actually quite strong, most of the time, depending on what you're using, you actually don't even have to rebalance the gimbal. I tend to recalibrate it maybe, but then you're still able to go and get going really quickly to make sure that you're getting native content for wherever you're posting it. Often we can be shooting for brands and they do want deliverables for both their website and for their social content. So being able to get this very seamlessly with one tool, again, makes solo creators like you and I, makes this job a lot easier. DJI sent me the RS4 combo kit, which comes with the briefcase handle and it comes with the Focus Pro motor. Now there's two really cool creative ways that you guys can use this. So if you are someone who needs it for these functions, you might want to go with the Pro Combo option. If you are someone who shoots with cinema lenses, meaning they don't have autofocus and you have to change the T-stop, they come with little gears on it, and so the Focus Pro motor can connect to those natively and then very easily and seamlessly sync up with the RS4 gimbal so that you can either pull focus or you can change the T-stop right on the gimbal itself. Now, maybe you don't have cinema lenses, but you have zoom lenses. You can take their focus gear strip and put it on your lenses and then use the Focus Pro motor on your zoom and attach that seamlessly to your camera so you can zoom seamlessly with your lenses without having to reach around and change the zoom. A few of the last accessories that I put on my gimbal is the Gimbal monitor, which is a really cost-effective monitor that's quite powerful actually. I really enjoy using that. DJI also sent along their bigger battery grip for the RS4, which is insane. You can shoot up to 29.5 hours if you're using that battery grip. It's pretty bulky, it's pretty big. But if you're not shooting, you can actually use it as a battery bank so you can charge your accessories, your phone, or your camera if you need a recharge. Again, as solo creators, everything that can save us time out in the field, whether you're shooting weddings, real estate, or cars, these all save you priceless moments and time so you can capture the content that you want to capture. Now that we're balanced and we're set up, let's go out and do some point of view shooting. I'll teach you guys my favorite settings for working with gimbals to get the smoothest footage, as well as some of my favorite moves to do for automotive videography that you guys can hopefully incorporate into some of your videos. So let's start with the basics of how a gimbal works. You typically have 3 modes. The first mode, and the one that I tend to use the most, is called the PF function. So all this is going to do is it's going to follow you left and right based on how you've set the gimbal, or you can use this switch on the side here to go to PTF. So that means pan and tilt it's going to follow. So that means if you tilt it up or down, it's actually going to follow the up and down motions. And then finally, you have FPV mode. And this is going to follow every movement you do. As you can see, it's going to go up, down, left, right. And so we can do some really creative shots with those. But my settings, my favorite settings to get the smoothest video is I'm going to set mine to pan follow. So that's just left to right. And then I tend to use my joystick the most in order to get that up and down movement. Now, something that I set here is I make sure to set my joystick speed to something quite slow, actually. So you can either go to slow, or I tend to go to the custom side and turn mine to anywhere between 15 and 25. What I think that that does for me is it gives me the smoothest pan and tilt adjustment. So you can adjust this, of course, to your needs and how you like to shoot, but I find that a smoother up and down motion gives me the best looking B-roll. If you plug the USB-C into your camera, I shoot with a Lumix and I can tell it to autofocus onto automotive. So once I point this at the car, it auto tracks the vehicle. All I have to do is tap this trigger one time and it'll automatically start tracking that vehicle. We're gonna try this auto track feature. So I'm just gonna tap the trigger and we're gonna see if I just move left and right, and you can see how well it is following auto tracking the car. I'm not doing anything with the joystick. I'm not intentionally doing any left to right movements with the gimbal. So that is auto tracking. So that's decently smooth. So the way that I always start by shooting cars is I always start by setting the scene. So shoot wide, and I shoot wide all the way around the car, the front, the back, the left, the right, shoot wide on the wheels, shoot wide on the details. So that's how we're gonna start. So I'm just gonna do a simple left to right movement, trying my best to keep that car centered in the frame. We're not using any auto track at this point. I'm just gonna push towards the car and I'm gonna push my thumb up on the joystick. And depending on what sensitivity you have, it will move at that speed for you. So we're gonna hold that and pull down on the joystick as well. And you can see it's moving really smoothly. So here's the difference if I try using pan tilt follow. I have to do all of that manually with my wrists. So we're gonna try and do that by pushing in. And as we get closer to the car, slowly raise the gimbal so it tilts down. Now this doesn't look too bad, but it's harder to focus, I find, on the gimbal, my feet, everything that you gotta focus on. It's a lot. And if you push and hold the trigger, it actually won't adjust anything. It kind of treats it more like a crane, so I can do like a left to right movement, or up and down movement. It essentially locks the gimbal So once you have your wide and establishing shots, that's when I go into more medium shots and get things like the headlights, the hood, the rear, the wheels. For this use case, I'll show you guys some of how I would use the FPV mode as well. I'm gonna hit record, and then I'm actually gonna pan, start here, and I'm just gonna do a side to side over the top, trying to keep something in the middle. So let's try and keep the headlights in the middle, for example, and let that be our focus. So for this one, the headlight, try and pivot the camera around the headlight and keep it in the middle. And then you can finish with like a swoop or something, so that when you come into, say, your next shot, if we wanted to come into a wheel, we can start with a swoop like this, hit the detail that we want like this, like that, and then swoop out again, so that hopefully we can piece those shots together. I hope that you guys have found this video helpful. If you want to watch how I put all these pieces together, I've made a video up here. You guys can go ahead and watch, but I do appreciate your time. I really hope you guys got something from this, and I hope I'll see you in the next video. Peace.